Well, ladies and gentlemen, in Wrestling with Egos land, we submitted all of our brilliant concepts to the creative team at WWE last week, and we were earnest in our assertions that they should take them under due consideration. But we here at Wrestling with Egos are very, very thrilled and overjoyed to report that the creative team of WWE summarily laughed in our faces and said, Thank you very much. Hold my beer. We'll take it from here. And delivered a wonderful, thrilling, and still thought-provoking conclusion to Elimination Chamber. Mm-hmm. Welcome back to your source for wrestling infotainment. We are the Wrestling with Egos gang. I am joined this week by the big man, Isaac. What's good, brother?
Yo, I'm here. Let's go. Excited. Elimination Chamber. Loved it. Let's go.
Let's go. From across the pond, our resident comic and funny man, KD. How are you, good sir?
Wabadoo. I am
Wabadoo.
Good. I am good. I am a bit drained. I got back on stage for the first time properly in a while yesterday, and it was a long, full night. So I'm awake, but also drained right now. So I'm good, but I might not make that much sense.
You know what? We stopped making sense a long time ago. We tried to be coherent and all that, and sometimes it works, and most times it doesn't. Well, some of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll go back and pull the footage. It's out there. There's evidence out there. I am the intellectual savior of the wrestling masses. I am Brian, and we are Wrestling with Egos. Thank you for joining us, however it is that you're joining us, whether it's on our many podcast platforms, such as Anchor, Spotify, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Apple, and there's another one that I'm forgetting, but forgive me. And on the YouTubes. Katie, what did you say?
I was trying to think of another platform. Deezer?
I don't know that we're on that one, but
okay.
I hit all the highlights, I think. I'm gonna look at the list later that I don't have in front of me and curse myself, but we appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you checking us out. We appreciate the spike in traffic that we've had the last month and a half or so. We want to say thank you for that. However you're consuming us, whatever works for you, that's what we're going to do for you. Make sure you leave a comment, leave a 5-star review, like and subscribe, and spread the word. Because I always say your feedback makes us better. And something we have a lot of feedback to give is about what went down at Elimination Chamber last weekend.
It was a spicy pay-per-view. PLE.
Yeah, as I suspected, I was not disappointed when I came up after the show last week and queued up the beginning of SmackDown and watched the reaction that Montreal gave to Sami Zayn.
We Monday Night Raw.
Well, no, first on Friday, because he came out there on Friday. Yeah. That was when he first showed out the honorary Hab T-shirt, and they had to censor the chant. Because I was commenting with Patrick while I was actually able to watch the chamber as it happened. Montreal wants some blood.
You know what? I can't believe that I thought Sami Zayn coming out and doing that on SmackDown might spoil the pop or the reaction for him at Elimination Chamber. Can't believe I thought that. I was very wrong.
Honestly, that crowd that he had in Montreal on Friday and on Saturday and even on Monday were rivaled on Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It was that intense that the crowd was that intense. And
let's not forget that this city of Montreal is a very passionate wrestling city, lest we forget. And I did not realize Ariel Helwani is from Montreal.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Show, and his passion was oozing through the television. I'm going to summarize what he said here really quick. He said, "Gang, this city is more than just 1997 Survivor Series, lest we forget. And you rattled off a few names that have gone through there. He goes, we have a rich history. We're very passionate about, our pursuits and things like that. And he goes, this town is ready to go crazy tonight. Sammy's one of our own, that kind of thing. And my guess is that they wanted to do 2 weeks worth of shows in Montreal. That crowd would have showed up in full throat.
Yeah.
Every single night and eaten up whatever was served to them.
I think it's fair to say Ariel Helwani is definitely my favorite unbiased journalist.
They had to, and I wonder if Sammy said everything he was trying to say because he was soaking in the reaction of the crowd, and they had to censor the chant at one point.
Yeah.
It went, you Roman, that kind of thing. And for like 2.5 minutes, Fox was just hitting that, mute button or whatever they do. But you didn't need a grandiose, Nick Bockwinkel promo here. You needed to just the visceral, raw emotion and go to commercial. Moving forward to the event itself, I'll just say my piece and get out of the way of the two of you so you can tell me what you thought about it. But there were at least 4 times in the match between Roman and Sammy where I thought they were actually going to pull the trigger on it. And I suppose that's the point. When you had, Jimmy and Jay getting involved surreptitiously, and then he fought them off. And you had Roman selling like mad, by the way, for Sammy. Lest we say, that Roman does.
Sorry, I'm not going to lie. That I have to say it. I totally thought Isaac just fell asleep then.
No, he's.
It's been a long day. Keep going.
He's savoring the anticipation, waiting for, his time to get in there. And I thought they handled the Kevin Owens piece brilliantly. Because there's still some work to do there. It isn't just Kevin Owens runs down and everybody hugs and that kind of thing. There's still some work to do there. Because, there's been some trust betrayed 6 ways from Sunday.
There's still no guaranteed idea of where it's going. We all think we know where it's going, to be fair. But it could go a different way. It could go KO and Sammy in some way. I doubt it, but it's nice because you don't know exactly where it's going, or at the very least how it's going to get there.
That's the thing. You can say what's the end result is, but it's the getting there that has become so enjoyable for a booking of a booking of Triple H. He doesn't. Oh, I'm almost done. I promise. He doesn't specialize in the obvious, because I thought they had me thinking we would not see the Usos because of Jimmy and Jay's visa issues.
I did hear just before that they got that sorted, so I was expecting them to be there. But
yeah, so Isaac, get in there, man.
Do we all agree that WrestleMania has got to be the destruction of the bloodline? Can we all sort of agree that's where it's going? There's gotta be an end to it. I understand Roman needs to take some time off, and they've had those belts, and they need to split them up, whether it be the Raw, SmackDown, and I'm not just talking about Roman's belt. I'm also talking about the fact that they need to split up the tag belts, because you got all these tag teams sitting here doing nothing, waiting for those belts to split up.
If it's me, here's what I do. And this just came to me. I never had even a chance to think about it. If it's me, Roman drops them at WrestleMania somehow. The Usos drop theirs at Backlash. Because that's going to increase that'll increase your buy rates for Backlash. But Roman can go take his time after, maybe a couple of episodes of TV or whatever, and then leave the Usos and Solo Sikoa to figure it out, and then they can't coexist either, and it all just kind of falls apart.
And you've still got Heyman can act as a type of mouthpiece for Roman while he's not there. Like, for me, I feel like I'd like to see Mania as the beginning of the destruction of the bloodline, lose the title with Roman.
Because, they've slow played everything to this point. Why not continue a little bit? Because you can only do that so much before it's like, okay, well, you want to draw it out to SummerSlam or Money in the Bank or whatever. That's too far, I think.
I just keep thinking they're going to do it the Monday night after Raw or Monday night after WrestleMania. Just a complete destruction of everything. And then come Friday, they're like, all right, guys, we got to get this. We got to figure this mess out. I lost my belts on Sunday. You lost them on Monday. This is unacceptable. Yeah. I'm gonna take some time off to get myself together to try and figure out where I gotta who I gotta let go, and then I'll come back and I'll deal with you. Type of deal. But I could be totally wrong.
So So you reckon then Roman will be around then after Mania, but like just for like a few shows then?
Yeah. He'll set them up to keep going, but there's got to be a gigantic turn and quick after Roman's done, and it's not going to be the Monday night after WrestleMania, even though I think it should be, but because they've got to get the belts off them. Everyone is sitting here waiting for them, and they've been waiting for 2 years.
Yeah.
We're all going to sit here and say what's best for business. Sorry, don't mean to quote Vince, but what's best for business, we got to drop those belts and give somebody else the title. Because if I was sitting in the wings waiting, I'd be pissed as hell.
Another reason you want to keep him around a little bit longer is, don't look now, but Roman has become a very, very effective promo person too. With his economy of words. He's another one that isn't going to be out there like Nick Bockwinkel or John Cena or people like that tend to talk for like CM Punk, that tend to talk for like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes at a time.
Yeah, he just takes the entrance to do that.
Yeah,
right.
He's a new undertaker.
But what Roman's gotten really good at doing is combining mannerisms with the words to get his point across. Nuance there, talking during the match, even like the hot mic catches him, like talking under his breath and muttering under his breath, like all the stuff he said to Sammy in the weeks leading up to Elimination Chamber. You used me as a stepping stone.
And in the match against Sammy's wife, saying to her, "This could have been yours. Yeah. I tried to bring you into this family," and not saying that his mic work isn't great, because it is.
And that's why I didn't have a problem with that. Usually I have a problem when you go get cheap heat by bad mouthing a family member or anything like that. Roman was keeping his distance. It's not like it isn't like I'm trying to think of an example where it's not like what Samoa Joe did with AJ Styles' wife a couple of years ago, Wendy, that kind of thing.
That wasn't creepy at all.
No, it really wasn't.
It was low-key great though.
Even
super crazy.
Even what Jericho did to CM Punk's sister, stepsister or adopted sister or whatever the relationship is during their feud in WWE in 2012, I think it was.
At least we get to see Bobby Lashley's sister ripping it apart on AEW all the time, though.
Oh boy,
he'll get those titles back. Trust me.
The less we say about that, the better.
They will be scissoring Daddy.
So, to kind of sum this up, I like that they've left all of this wiggle room for themselves, because all three of us have put forth slightly different scenarios for paying this off, because we agree that it needs to be paid off sooner rather than later. Because Roman just passed 900 days as champion. In this era, it'd be one thing if it was the 70s and Bruno Sammartino was champion for like thousands of days and whatever. But our appetite is a little bit more cyclical. Our appetite is a little bit more not able to be satiated by the sameness over and over and over and over again. Plus the fact that Roman is getting up there in years. He's in his mid-30s now. And, it's the mentality of the wrestlers are starting to change a little bit. It's like, let me work a little less, protect my body, protect my investment and that sort of thing, and then, have a better quality of life down the road.
Yeah, you need to get back to that a lot more. Like, I think people really enjoyed it for AEW for those first few years of just crazy matches. But exactly what you said then, you can't just have that. You can't just have the great. You need the story. I love story out of it more than anything, and the storytelling through this whole storyline has been just another level.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's completely flipped between the two companies. Is for a while there, AEW was telling the better stories with Darby Allin and Sting, and
was
the Elite and Hangman Adam Page and stuff like that. And now it's the exact opposite. I can't think of outside of the Acclaimed and what they're doing with Billy Gunn, and Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I can't think of a through line on a story or on a rivalry aside from that right now. And I have to unpack
Hangman and Moxley. That one's actually been quite good, I think. That surprised me.
True. What I will give AEW props for, and then Isaac, you get to jump in there. I'm going to give them mad props for finally doing something with Evil Uno.
Yeah.
I watched that promo the other night, and I'm like, yes, thank you, because Dark Order has long since become cartoonish, in my opinion. They do the backstage skits, and they do all the borderline sexual innuendo stuff, and it's all well and good. Sophomore class field trip, as Jim Ross used to say. But at the end of the day, you're a wrestler, and there's nothing wrong with calling somebody like Moxley out when he's looking past you. It's like, stop looking past me. Stop not even acknowledging the fact that I'm in the same ring with you. I was happy to see him step to Moxley. He's probably going to get squashed. If it's me booking it, I don't do it that way.
Have you not seen it yet? That's already been on.
Oh, that was...
Well, Evil Uno versus Moxley. That was on the other day.
We won't spoil it for him.
Okay, I didn't know. I thought it was supposed to happen next week. I haven't watched the whole episode yet.
Oh, yeah. It was good.
So, anyway,
for those that have not seen it, we will not spoil it for you. How about that?
There we go.
I mean, if you don't know the outcome of John Moxley versus Evil Uno, though, I mean, let's be honest.
Man, I put 1,000 large on Evil Uno the other night.
We're not the betting one. We don't bet on here.
Okay.
We might do friendly bets, but we're not supposed to be put our money out there like that.
Lesson learned. It'll never happen again. Isaac, you get the last word on the march to WrestleMania before we move into the meaty part of the evening.
Okay, this is what I was going to say. Not as you guys are totally correct when you said that originally AEW did put out better storylines.
I didn't say that. No.
Other people have said that.
Okay. Apologies.
In the past, and WWE has been slow playing the Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn bloodline for a very long time, and we all know that worked out to utter perfection. If there's another way they could have done it, I'm not going to say. I am going to sit here and say the one thing that they haven't done is that they really have not built anybody else up, whether it be individually or tag, to take the belts off of them. Now, Cody Rhodes, that whole situation just built itself. They didn't have to sit there and do anything. They just said, insert Cody right here. Tag belts, they aren't doing anything with that. And that's a problem because they need another strong storyline when Roman leaves. And whenever that might be, whether that be next month, whether that be in 6 months, they have not built in another storyline for those tag belts or making anyone else look strong enough to take it off of the Usos.
Yeah,
They
I
have,
mean, I would have put the Brutes in that position, but
Yeah.
they
Well,
rolled over for them too.
Drew McIntyre and Sheamus would be my pick. Definitely.
I agree with you, B. But the problem of it is they aren't. And the only other person that I can think of that possibly, they could have put in, as if Cody Rhodes wasn't ready, is he's got, because he's looking real, real strong, and you can't sit here and keep putting him down. Yeah, you put him up against a couple other people, but he's looking really strong right now. Tag team division wise, they've got nobody. They aren't doing it right.
Because they're putting a guy with a guy and saying, okay, you're a tag team now. That's not tag wrestling. You look at AEW, you got the Acclaimed and the Guns and the Elite or the Bucks and Grayson and Reynolds and people like that. Death Triangle. People that specialize in tag team wrestling. They're not going after individual glory.
And you forgot the top best team in AEW, remember? The Ass Boys. How could you forget them?
I said the Guns.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
I didn't call them the Ass Boys, though. I just,
We're not calling ass tonight.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
It's fine.
Another night we'll talk about ass.
So, earlier in the week, I got on the show chat and I said, gentlemen, I got a doozy for you this evening. And yes, I got the cue cards out because we're going to do this. We're going to do it right.
Okay, I'm down already.
This is a topic that we've broken ground on before on the show, but never like this. The boys at Wrestle Talk over in England came out with a top 10 list this week of dream matches that we never got to see on television of any consequence. Okay? And they did not come up with all the usual suspects. I dare say a lot of these names on this list you wouldn't think of when you say, what's a dream match that you wish you got to see but never did? The one I'm sure that's on the tip of everybody's tongue right now, because we never got to see it, is Undertaker versus Sting. That's the one that always comes to my mind. I would have loved to see them go in their prime. I would have loved to see The Rock wrestle Shawn Michaels in his prime. That could have been good for both of them. It would have made The Rock a better worker in the ring, number one, and it could have fleshed out the career of The Rock a little bit more, I think, but they never crossed paths. So what I have is that I have the 10 dream matches that never came to be for whatever reason. And these are matches where if they touched it all, it was only on dark matches or on, house shows or things like that. And they never really saw the light of day, or you got to hunt to find evidence that these two people wrestled each other. And it's not like readily available on YouTube or things like that. So I'm just going to hold the card up. They're really not in any particular order. I wrote them down in the order that they were on the top 10 list, but
when we're done, you tell me which was number one. How about that?
I will. The last one that I hold up is number one because they're in descending order from 10 to 1 already. The way I have the cards,
That's fine.
So some of them will probably spend a little bit more time on than others because some of them are more juicy than others. But I think this is a great one to start off with, and I'll give you the context after I read the card. Randy Orton and Mr. Perfect.
Okay.
What's your initial reaction to that one?
Did they accidentally write Randy instead of Bob?
No. Because don't forget, Randy came in right around the time Perfect came back, the Royal Rumble, where Triple H came back from injury. Perfect came back for one more run before the plane ride from hell.
Remember that. That was my first ever time actually seeing him.
So, and he was wrestling. He was on TV for several months before that all went down. and they did have a dark match or two, but it never amounted to anything. And this is Randy Orton as a rookie, don't forget. This is
Yeah. I was just
You know,
thinking that.
this is this Randy Orton. You come out with the bike shorts and that kind of thing, and and the modeled hair and all that kind of stuff before he started doing that smarmy, thank you for your cards and letters. I'm healing great, and I should be back in 7 weeks, and that kind of thing. Isaac, what say you about Mr. Perfect and Randy Orton?
I don't like. I'm gonna be honest. I think that would have been great, but not that version of Randy Orton that I wanted to see. Randy Orton, a few more years, yes. When he was seasoned, after being seasoned under the learning tree of Ric Flair and Triple H and Evolution, after he started getting into his own legend killer vibe, then
Right.
I would have loved to have seen him face Mr. Perfect then. But the problem of it was he was still green.
Oh yeah.
He
And
was way
that's the reasons that were put forward on this video was, somebody like Perfect could work the green out of Orton, in short order.
Yeah, I mean, you have to sit here and there's certain times when you put certain people with people to let them to stay under their wing, to as they say, to understand what this is all about and to get it. And that would have been the perfect time for this Randy Orton to learn under Mr. Perfect because he has so much experience. Now, we give Randy Orton 10 years, we want to see that match with him and Perfect because that would have been interesting.
Exactly. All right, next up on the list. This one was intriguing for me, but I'll get your guys' reaction to it first. Chris Jericho and Kenta.
My reaction, I think, for this one so far is the same as the first one. These are some random pairings.
And that's why I wanted to do this list, because a lot of these names are not what you would think of. You have to go back in your memory banks and were they around at the same time? Now this is not WWE specific either. Because there's going to be some on this list you're like, whoa, because we're talking about all of wrestling. That's one of the reasons I like Wrestle Talk so much, is because they're not just a WWE podcast.
Yeah.
They talk about AEW and New Japan and Lucha Underground, and they talk about all of it.
They're the main ones I listen to as well.
Yeah. We know Jericho has history in Japan. When he was, breaking into the business, he was over there, and then he went back over to New Japan when he left WWE to wrestle Omega, and he was, that was one of the things that was instrumental in the founding of AEW. So, I mean, I'm all for this because Jericho's a chameleon. He can work with anybody. And, he's also a freaking wizard, by the way. He'll tell you himself.
Yeah, goddamn wizard.
Isaac, what do you say about Chris Jericho and Kenta?
I think that'd be a fantastic match. I would have loved to have seen it. And again, I hate this. I'm going to go back to this because it depends on which Jericho version that you're getting. If you're getting the I'm a Wizard, would love to see it. If it's Y2J Jericho, would love to see it. I don't want to see an early Lionheart face him. You know what I mean? And the fact that Chris Jericho has allowed himself to evolve, not from just Lionheart, Y2J, Painkiller, the different versions of himself. So we can sit here and say he can wrestle this guy as this, he can wrestle this guy as this, means a lot. And that's just the fact that Jericho, we've already stood here and put him as one of the GOATs. And that's what makes him special about that. And I just don't want to see an early Chris Jericho.
It's been a while since he's made an appearance, so I wanted to put that out.
Did you like the way I smoothly worked that in there?
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you. But yeah, I don't want to see early versions of these guys because there's not that many people that come in there and that are ready to knock it out of the park. You know, when we look at the first two that we've seen, you know, what's the later version of them? Just me.
This next one is going to tug at your heartstrings.
Oh
If
God.
it doesn't, then you might need to turn in your wrestling card.
Okay, hold on. I got it.
Oh, okay. That's what I agree with that one.
I'm sorry. If I just keel over, you guys know why. This doesn't hurt. This is like a chainsaw to the heart.
Yeah.
And if
Kurt
it
Angle was. This is around the time because this is 99. What year was Unforgiven? The one where
oh God.
I don't know.
Was that 98 or 99?
I mean, just for podcast people as well. This one's Kurt Angle and Owen Hart.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't say I didn't read it off. Kurt Angle and Owen Hart is the next card. I feel like it was Unforgiven 99.
I think you're
Kurt,
right.
Kurt was already a rookie at that point, and he was being brought along because it wasn't really until the fall where Kurt started catching fire.
What is it you're trying to work out? Sorry, what pay-per-view?
It was Unforgiven where Owen had the accident.
No, it was Over the Edge.
Over the Edge. I'm sorry, not Unforgiven.
Because I always found it, unfortunately, ironic.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
But Patrick has famously said on this show numerous times when we talked about the great timeline of wrestling, what if Owen Hart hadn't died, hadn't had the accident?
Yeah.
We'd be talking about, I mean, we already talk about him in such reverential terms. You'd be talking about him as one of the best ever.
Mm-hmm.
And a point that Tempest put forth when he did this top 10 list was the mid card at this point in WWE was stacked.
Oh God.
I you know,
oh, God.
yeah, Owen could have worked with The Rock and Triple H and all that, but we're talking about the people right below them. You know, the Radicals and you know, Kurt Angle. Owen gets to work with all those people. You know, that's cementing a legacy. That's running through all of them like, you know, wheat through a grist mill. And then now I'm taking dead aim at Triple H. Now I'm taking dead aim at Stone Cold Steve Austin and stuff like that. And who knows at this point. So this was one of the ones that would rank, if I were ranking this list and re-ranking it, I would put this one higher up. Just because of the poetry that you would get in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. I forgot about Kurt Angle. He's one of the people that was, even though he was green, my God.
Didn't matter.
Matter. You're an Olympic athlete at that level. My God, you're ready to
all
go.
the other stuff, and he picked up all the other stuff really quick. He picked up the mic work and the pacing and the stamina and all that stuff. I mean, it was just, you know, I mean, with Kurt Angle, look no further than the triple threat that he had with Triple H and The Rock at SummerSlam.
Jesus Christ, yes.
You know, that's all you need for that one.
And he did all that without being a fan as well beforehand, obvious.
Right. This next one, anything else to add about Kurt and Owen before I don't want to give them the short shrift?
I would just agree with everything you already said, like especially the fact that, yeah, to me that feels like the number one. Like, well, I can't say that yet. Of course, you might have other ones, but I would be surprised if there's a better matchup there.
Oh, there's a couple.
I wouldn't say that's number one because I don't know the rest of the list at this point in time. But oh my God,
it's top five at least for me.
I would say I'll review it and then I'll make a decision.
The next one probably has a better chance of happening than any of these because they're both active and they're both in WWE. One's hurt right now, but it would not surprise me at all if at some point we saw AJ Styles and Gunther.
That gives me jiggles just thinking about it.
Where do I sign? Is there, how many signatures are required for
How many
AJ?
times my chest has to hurt? Oh my god, yeah.
That's like Brock Lesnar and Omos levels of awesomeness. That is. I'm sorry. I'll take that back. I don't want to sully that match with that.
Don't do that. Don't do
I
that.
shouldn't have done it. It was wrong.
Okay, look. I think if we decide, if AJ comes back and he's ready to go, and he can go to WrestleMania, let AJ and Gunther have that spot at WrestleMania. That's sheer perfection.
Mm.
Two different styles, but oh my god,
How much longer is he going to be out?
I don't know.
It's an ankle, right?
I don't think
it was something like the foot, weren't it? Foot or ankle.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because it's been at least 6 months for that.
Has it? Has it been that long?
I feel like
while. It's been a while.
I'm trying to remember the last time he was on TV of any consequence.
Probably the last time the OC were Gallows and Anderson.
Oh God, what happened to them? But look, I'm gonna sit here and I'm just gonna say that yeah, that's damn good.
All right.
That's good.
This next I'm gonna give you is a pair. And you're gonna tell me which one would excite you more. Okay. Now, in theory, both of these could still happen. I think one's more likely than the other to happen, but I still don't know if either one of them will happen based on when you see the names that this man is paired up with.
Okay.
I got Kevin Owens and Brock Lesnar, and I got Kevin Owens and Edge. These were back to back on this list.
I can definitely say which one excites me more: Kevin Owens and Edge. Definitely.
I tend to agree.
I'm gonna agree with you. I like the dynamic of Kevin Owens and Brock Lesnar, but Kevin Owens and Edge intrigues me a little bit more. It really does, because Brock Lesnar's becoming just, I hate to say it, more like one-dimensional. You know, I'm going to come in here, F5, I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, you get more of a storytelling type of deal with Edge. And, you know, making it go longer, I want to say. I hate to say that.
I would have loved to have seen Kevin and Brock in 2016 when he first got called up from NXT, and he just didn't give a crap about anybody. Like, he was going at John Cena and, you know, stepping on the United States Championship and saying, you know, this, you know, because he was NXT champ at the time. That Brock and that Kevin would have been very, very intriguing.
I mean, this is probably the most I've ever been a fan of KO. I love his character at the moment. I just think he's hot right now, you know. But I just, at any time, I just can't see Brock Lesnar selling for him and giving him. He would do like a Dean Ambrose on him, I feel like. Not so much now, maybe, but yeah, I still don't see him really doing it.
The problem that I have right now with Brock Lesnar is that Brock Lesnar seems to be on top of a mountain, and he's not willing. He's coming in to not really make anyone else look good, you know, other than just himself. Now, the fact being that he did try to do as much as he possibly could to make, you know, Drew McIntyre look good right before the pandemic hit. And that's a tribute to Brock, because that's something he really does not do often. But at the same time, he did try to do that, but you couldn't do that. You couldn't have the huge payoff for Drew without that crowd at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
that was the biggest.
There's not a very long history of Brock. You know, there's a finite amount of people that Brock will do the business for.
Is that just more that he hasn't been booked that way though? Because the whole Vince McMahon time, you know, as soon as he became the Conqueror, he just didn't lose. Like, I don't know, with the exception of the whole Dean Ambrose thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was more to that as well. If Dean was a bit awkward, maybe, or I don't know. But to be fair, he does sell a lot. Brock Lesnar, he's a low-key great
That's
seller
something
as
I'd
well.
love to explore sometime.
Mm.
Every so often, I'll hear that angle brought up, and I wonder like what was going on there,
Mm.
and why did Brock just refuse to do the kind of match that Mox wanted to do that year at WrestleMania? I would love to unpack that a little bit more. Not tonight, obviously, but
Yeah, same though.
that's one of those things because Brock gets at that because I don't understand that. I don't understand the Orton match at SummerSlam where busted him open with the elbows and stuff like that. There's just times like that where Brock just doesn't, gets a little too animalistic or whatever. This is what I'm trying to say.
This doesn't make sense that Vince wanted him to be like this indestructible type of person, and that whoever took him down was going to look like the conquering hero at the time. But you had him doing stuff, and nobody else could mess with him. It's like, really, this is what we're going to do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
all right.
that's
Moving on to the next one on the list.
Oh, we haven't done Edge yet.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm sorry. Well, you said that you both said that Edge intrigues you a little bit more. Can we talk about reasons why for that one?
Do you want to go first, Isaac?
Sure. I think it's more storytelling for me. The more, not to say Brock Lesnar's not athletic, but I think that Edge is going to work more and making sell more for KO than Brock is for Kevin. That's just me. And Edge facing Kevin Owens is more of an intriguing because you don't see Brock doing that much to make Kevin look good. Kevin's going to sit here and make Brock look fantastic. But the best storytellings are when you sit here, you make this guy look good, and he makes you look fantastic. And you both come out better, and that's not been the case with Brock.
It's very much reciprocal.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's some history they can play off of too. Like, Kevin Owens can say, whether this is accurate or not, I looked up to you as a child and, that kind of thing. And,
you got the whole Canada thing as well.
Yeah. The shared nationality and everything like that. And it might be a little bit safer. I know I always think Kevin Owens is a pretty safe worker, and so is Edge. It might be safer to have a rivalry with Edge than in terms of your health than it is to have one with Brock. That's just speculation. I don't know like how that's evolved over the years or not.
I generally think Brock Lesnar is kind of safe. I say kind of safe, like that kind of says it all, though, I guess. The fact I say kind of safe.
It's like, hey, I'm kind of dead, but I'm not really dead, but, I'm kind of dead.
Like, I legitimately get worried every time I see Brock Lesnar give Bobby Lashley, especially, a German. Like, every time I just worry that he's going to pop his shoulder or whatever he did before again.
Yeah. Here's the way I look at it. And I'm sorry, Katie, to jump on you, but I think Kevin Owens is better equipped to handle Edge in the way, especially when it comes to his body and him recovering and coming back from injury, especially for the fact that when Daniel Bryan was in the WWE and he finally came back, the first match he had was at WrestleMania with Sammy and Shane McMahon. And the fact being that Daniel trusted Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn because they've done it, they've had thousands upon thousands of matches, and they know how to make sure that he looks fantastic but not hurt him at the same time, also plays into the fact that that's Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
That's another big factor. And sometimes the fact that we look at Brock Lesnar and sometimes he forgets how big and how strong he is, and how sometimes he's doing something, overselling something, can really seriously hurt somebody.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the next one that might make you stroke that chin a little bit and go,
Oh,
Undertaker and Macho.
Ooh, yeah.
They had, now this was the one where they said they did have one match and it was buried on, he said it's buried on some compilation VHS somewhere. But it's not like readily available. Like you have to know where to go on the network to even find evidence of it. But they never really touched that much. They never really had a rivalry of consequence. This is one that intrigues me because it was fanatical as Randy was about his opponents and scripting the match and stuff like that. It would be interesting to see you match up with the worker like Taker. What they could have done together.
See, I probably haven't got as much to say on this one because Randy was another one that was kind of before my time as well. Especially if we're talking about Undertaker at that time too. So yeah, be interesting, but doesn't really. I don't have that many feelings towards it, to be fair. Unless it's Randy Savage in Spider-Man, then I'm game. I am game in that case. Bone Crusher, Reggie. That's it, Bonesaw. Yeah.
I'm gonna tag myself in. All right, here we go. I think it's a very interesting combination. Whether it's Bonesaw, whether it's Macho Man, whatever we're calling him. But I think that the fact that Macho, in how athletic he was, and we know how athletic he was, especially when he faced, Mickey Steamboat, WrestleMania 3, they went balls to the wall. And for the fact that you have a big man with the size of The Undertaker that can do the things that The Undertaker could do back in the day before he really seriously got hurt and was, moving as fast as he was and getting on the top rope and doing all those other things and being so versatile would have been phenomenal. Sorry, AJ, but phenomenal to see. With these two guys going at
it. He did the thing. He said the thing.
It would have been phenomenal. It would have been amazing to sit there and see that, and see those two guys doing what they do because they were both, off the chart athletes in their prime.
Yep. Next one on the list. Again, it happened, or no, this one did not happen, and kind of surprised that it hasn't happened. Jericho and Shinsuke.
That's surprising it hasn't happened, to be fair.
Yeah, it has not really happened. And again, this kind of goes back to what we said about him and Kenta. And pretty much the only way it could happen now is if Nakamura ever leaves WWE, which I thought would have happened by now, quite frankly, given all he's not doing.
Or didn't he say that when he went to WWE anyway, he saw it as like essentially kind of like a long holiday? So that kind of shows the mentality, I guess.
Yeah.
Fair dues, I get it.
And that's why I draw a parallel on this one in Kenta. I mean, Jericho can work with anybody. He would have found a way to work with Shinsuke for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Shinsuke, when he obviously first came up to the main roster, he was hot for a bit, up until him and AJ's trading bull shots for whatever reason.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would have been an amazing match to have Shinsuke facing Jericho. That would have been amazing. And I hold off on the fact that maybe one day we'll be able to see it. I mean, honestly, I didn't think we'd be able to see the Great Moon of Vince versus Shinsuke Nakamura because I thought that would never happen. And for us true wrestling fans, and that's the reason why we love wrestling, is we love to have seen Great Muta, Shinsuke Nakamura go at it. And, seeing how great the Great Muta was in his prime to do that. So
I got two left.
Yeah.
It's the final count. Sorry.
There's one. The number one is more of a well, duh, than number two is.
Okay.
Because I think we can all agree that number one, like if it ever happened, oh geez, yes, may I please. But this one I thought was interesting.
Oh, see, that was one that
Eddie Guerrero.
That's one that comes straight to my mind when I first think of these things.
Did we have that?
Not as a rivalry. There was a match, and it was on some like Superstars or something, or some C show or whatever. But they never really had. And
Never had a feud.
yes, and Tempest was talking about. This is Eddie right before he passed, unfortunately. This is Custody of Dominic era Eddie, the sick, twisted Eddie.
Top level Eddie. That was my favorite Eddie before.
Yeah. This is not Latino Heat, this is after Lie, Cheat, and Steal and all that kind of stuff. This is Eddie at his, most pervasive and, diabolical and stuff like that. And that Eddie trying to match wits with Undertaker.
Would that be Biker Taker, or would that be after Biker Taker then?
After.
Would it?
He was back to
Big Evil, wouldn't it, around that kind of time? Which might be my favorite version. I did like Big Evil.
Big Evil was 0203 because he took the title off of Hogan, don't forget, at Judgment Day.
Yeah.
So by this
point,
that's
after, isn't it? Actually, that's a bit later. Yeah,
Eddie passed in 05, correct?
Yeah. I don't know what year it was.
Yes. I feel like it's 05. That's when Taker was back to the dead man at this point.
Yeah.
Wearing the duster coat and the hat and all that stuff.
It was just kind of long hair.
Well, he was just starting to grow it back about that time.
Yeah.
I wanna sit here and say I would have loved to see the mind games that would have been played between Eddie Guerrero and The Undertaker, even if The Undertaker had Paul Bearer at the time, but the mind games between those two, we all know by, seeing Eddie, hit somebody with the chair and then fall down, and then, The Undertaker just doing, having the lights go out, just the mind games alone right there is, WrestleMania worthy, right? That's all I can relate it to, because they were the best at what they did when it came to that, and just involving the crowd. It would have been amazing.
Because you think Undertaker's worked with them all, but there's certain people that he never really had a big time rivalry with. Eddie Guerrero's a chief person on that list.
I think I love the idea of that. Like, sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry about that, Katie. I think they would have eventually got that to Eddie. They would have had to. You can't sit here and say, you can't avoid that person that much, because you can't sit here and be like, well, they never faced so-and-so, but they were there at the same damn time. They were both hot. Why didn't they never face each other? Eventually, he was going to get there.
Right.
I think there's another key one with the last one. Does it involve Eddie Guerrero as well?
It does not, but I'd love to hear it if you got another Eddie one.
I don't know if they ever had any kind of match or anything, but Eddie and Stone Cold is another one for me. That would have been amazing. A proper feud as well.
Two different styles of classical styles for what they were both trying to do and what they were trying to accomplish. I don't think it will work.
Evil Eddie, though, just fucking with Stone Cold. Stone Cold getting angrier and angrier, but he just can't get his hands on him because Eddie's elusive. If he really wants to get his hands on him, he'll have to agree to this match at Backlashing the Judgment Day of WrestleMania. PLE.
I'm trying to remember. Austin, when he was around at the same time as Eddie, they never ran in the same circles, because Austin was always going after the championship, don't forget.
Yeah.
Pretty close. Whereas Eddie was kind of like that lower tier, intercontinental tag, that kind of stuff. And by the time Eddie beat Brock at No Way Out and main evented Mania in 04, I think it was in Madison Square Garden, Austin was special guest referee for Goldberg, Lesnar at that point. So that's all he meant.
Oh, gosh, yeah, that was right then, yeah.
Physically, Austin wasn't able to go at that point. Because he was relegated to like, I'm the Raw general manager with Bischoff, and I'm, riding around the ATV because that's all my body can handle, kind of thing.
Yeah, like a year before they could have done it still, I reckon, though.
Yes,
but
and it would. I think they would have found a way to make it work. I mean,
yeah, they're just both cool like that, I think.
But they were also, remember the divide between Raw and SmackDown was pretty solid at that time, and for a Raw guy to go over to SmackDown was a huge, gigantic deal. And they were on two separate shows for a very long time. For a very long time, they never intertwined or went down the hallway and looked at each other and gave Stone Cold, give him the finger or something, or whatever the case. You know what I mean? But that's his kid. But that's the truth, though. They never really intermingled that much. Because separate shows.
Number one.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. With
a bullet. I still cannot believe that this never happened, given these two men's history.
Wow, that is very surprising.
Okay, wait, stop right there. In the immortal words of one...
I'm talking about Kenny Omega and AJ Styles.
In the immortal words of Stone Cold Steve Austin, what? They never face each other.
The reason why...
What?
Here's the reason why. When Styles got kicked out of Bullet Club, what was the reason for it? What was he getting ready to do?
Go to WWE, I'm guessing?
Yep. His contract with New Japan ended. That was their way of amicably writing him out of the Bullet Club so he could go to WWE. Which is why there was never a proper, Bullet Club implosion like there was with, Prince Devitt and Cody Rhodes and that kind of thing.
It'd be interesting to know how long AJ, and that could happen as well, because apparently Kenny Omega's supposed, they're supposed to be very interested in Kenny Omega, WWE are, when his contract's up. And with what's happened lately, I mean, God, it could actually happen. But I could also see AJ leaving WWE at one point. He did say he wants to finish out his career there, but there's another millionaire now, so.
I'll tell you what, if you ask me right now to put a percentage chance on this actually happening, last year I would have said less than 1%. Now I'm inclined to give it like a 5 or 6% chance of happening, because it's kind of moving in the direction of it's more likely than it was.
Yeah. Definitely.
A lot still has to happen, obviously, but
when that's a match I would love to see. Let me start out there. That's a match. That's a dream match. That's a WrestleMania match. That whatever. The fact that I got a hard time feeling Kenny leaving to go to WWE because of how much he wrestles in Japan. That's me. That's my personal opinion, and I know I could be completely wrong about that. But he's got such a huge fan base outside of WWE. A lot of time, people need WWE to cement their legacy when it comes to certain things. Kenny Omega is not that dude. Yeah. He doesn't.
He's cultivated so many relationships outside of the United States that it almost would be a step down.
Let us not forget as well, though. I don't think that once, if there's a sale of WWE, that forbidden door might get knocked down as well very easily. And that's another outside chance, but something else to make it a little bit more likely or possible.
I just look at it like it's nice to put on your resume and say you did it, but there's no real reason for Kenny Omega to sit here and decide, you know what, I really need to cement my legacy in WWE. Kenny Omega's gonna have to say that?
No, he probably won't.
Come on, and if anyone else, let RJ come on here and slap the bejesus out of me. Yes, what's up, RJ? We see you. RJ would come out here and slap the bejesus out of me for saying that Kenny Omega needs to come in WWE to cement his legacy, because we all know he doesn't need it.
He really doesn't.
He
All right,
really
gentlemen,
doesn't.
to put a bow on this conversation, of the 10, and I can run through them again for you if you need me to, but of the 10,
Ooh.
which one would be your personal favorite? I need to see that rivalry. I'll run through them again really quick. Orton Perfect, Jericho Kenta, Angle Owen Hart, Styles Gunther, Kevin Owens Edge, Kevin Owens Lesnar, Undertaker versus Macho Man, Jericho versus Shinsuke, Undertaker versus Eddie Guerrero, Kenny Omega versus AJ Styles. Isaac, I'll go to you first. Which of those 10 would excite you the most and why?
I'm going to go with number one, and I know that's obvious because that's, I was going to say that's low-hanging fruit. Yeah, it is, but those two guys, yeah, there's certain things I need to see. That's one of them. I need to see Kenny Omega go up against Kurt Angle back in his prime. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I'm throwing that out there. I don't know if it happened, and if it did, somebody tell me and show me where it's at, please, because I want to see that match.
I can almost guarantee that Kurt Angle and Kenny Omega never touched.
Come on now, but I say those two, but yeah, I will say Kurt Angle. I will say Kenny Omega, AJ Styles. That'd be one I want to see. But again, I still say Kenny Omega, Kurt Angle too.
KD, what say you?
You know what? Yeah, I think for me it would still be Owen Hart and Kurt Angle. It would just be a great match. Like I don't know about the storyline so much, to be fair, with that one, but obviously you could make it work. To be fair, it'd be more funny than anything, I reckon, and then serious when it needs to be. But just it'd be entertaining either way, and the match would just be great. Yeah, I like that.
I see.
For me, I keep going back and forth.
Actually, sorry, I want to change my answer. Actually, no, okay. I just remembered.
Change your answer now, Katie.
I can do this. I can do this.
You can't do nothing.
Yeah. Undertaker as Big Evil versus Eddie Guerrero. Actually, I really like the mind games and the idea behind that. Just the pure evilness of how they could go, evil with it, especially Eddie Guerrero. With that proper, like you were saying, the psychotic version of him. Yeah, I like that actually.
Was Big Evil This Is My Yard era too?
Yeah, that was all kind of.
Okay, well, I would, knowing Eddie Guerrero, just saying, this is my yard and seeing what the hell he's gonna do. It would be really, really funny to think about it. But
it's your yard essay. You need someone to cut your grass? I'll do that for you.
I call him a chihuahua or something.
Oh, jeez.
I
kind of go back and forth between Angle and Owen, and then excuse me, boys, I'm sorry. Styles and Gunther, because I feel like we could still get that happening.
Yeah.
Of these, I feel like that's got the most potential to actually happen down the road a little bit.
I'd agree with that.
There's some that don't hit as well, for obvious reasons. Randy Orton and Mr. Perfect, for example. You're talking about Mr. Perfect at the end of his career. So how much could he really, put forth in a match or in a rivalry, But these all have their pros and
random.
cons.
That one's really random to me.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, before we ease on up out of here, anything else you'd like to add about anything we've talked about tonight, whether it's this top 10 list or whether it's Chamber as we go forth into Mania, anything else you want to put out there?
I have no idea how we came to Bobby Lashley versus Bray Wyatt. I don't understand it. That's
I
the
do wanna
last.
say- Okay, I just want to bring this one topic up. I just really was disappointed in the fact that Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, those two guys, being the premier athletes that they are, could have put on a better show at Wrestle in the last one, and that was extremely disappointing. For the fact being that Brock knew that Bobby was coming back to WWE to have a dream match with him, and it was supposed to take it to that next level. And they were going to go they were going to basic gloves were going to be thrown off because both of those guys are mixed martial artists, MMA fighters, and that's something we wanted to see. And that's the crap you put us. That's the crap you give us. Come on now.
Yeah, that was just confusing from the word go for me.
Yeah, and the fact it was like
that's
second
shameful.
on, weren't it, as well, or something? It was very early.
That's just shameful that you have these two top athletes, collegiate athletes, MMA athletes, and give us this pile of crap, because that's what it was. And I'm being nice about it, ladies and gentlemen. If you think that I'm wrong, please look at that match again and you tell me that that match was 5-star.
So to summarize, in
19 to
10 months,
summarize.
when we get together for the 2023 Iggy Awards, I know Isaac's going to put forth Lashley versus Lesnar for Match of the Year.
Yeah.
That's going number one, ladies and gentlemen.
Closely followed by the Mountain Dew pitch
There's not
black.
going to be anyone else in the category. Right then and there. Mark it up.
Amazing.
Mark it up.
Well, we thank you very much for joining us as ever. Again, make sure you like and subscribe, share the good word with your friends and your family. We will be back next week with another rousing topic of discussion. And thank you so much for your feedback and your support. Until next week, this is Wrestling with Egos.
And feel free to have a look at KD Comedy Inc. as well if you like stories
Yes.
about bears taking cocaine.
Please. Yes,
and
support KD Comedy Inc. as well.
Thank you.
Until we meet again, this is Wrestling with Egos. And discussions like this are one of the reasons why we love professional wrestling.
Wabba-doo!